Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. I'm Jim Ewing with Provision Solutions. We've enjoyed sharing insights, inspiration, and informative updates through our Marketplace Ministries events. Whether in person or virtual, there's been a wealth of great resources provided. Details are provided in the comments below, along with information on staying informed of upcoming events and interacting with others online. We trust you'll enjoy the segment and invite you to be a part of our Marketplace Ministries Network. We'd love to have you as part of our collaborative Christian community. Thanks. And now, here's our presentation. It's good to have all of you here tonight. Thank you so much for being with us here. I am Jim Ewing. I'll be your facilitator for tonight's session, but it is a delight to be with you. We've added 15 more minutes in here just so we can spend a little more time and provide you with something that we think will add some real value in this season that we have ahead of us. So again, thanks for being with us here tonight. So officially, welcome to the Marketplace Ministries virtual event. We're extending this out to a number of our friends and contacts right across the world. Well, Canada at least. Anyway, that's terrific. Participate to the fullest. We have a chat feature that you can familiarize yourself with. I have just added some information into the chat, and I would encourage you to do something similar to that. Add your contact information if you'd like to have others, be able to get back in touch with you. If you'd like to follow up, have them follow up with you in particular, that would allow them to do that after tonight's meeting. I'd also mention that the Facebook group that we have is a great way that we can interact with each other. It's free 24/7. There for you as a resource. And I'd encourage you to add comments as you feel appropriate to any of the posts that are there. And as well, feel free to introduce yourself if you haven't been on that platform in the past, and add your own valuable insights and perspectives that will help all of us as followers of Jesus Christ grow in the marketplace where the Lord has us. So thank you for the first timers who are with us. Can you raise your hand? I don't know if we're going to see all of those, but it's good to have all of you with us in this virtual format. We have 5 sessions that we try to provide by this mechanism virtually, and we'll have more about that a little bit later. Why don't we open our session tonight in a quick word of prayer, and then we'll get into our program, okay? Loving Heavenly Father, we are so delighted that we can be together, even in this format, virtually, and be able to share some time together and help each other to grow and develop into who you have called us to be. And Father, we thank you that you yourself, at the beginning of time, you exercised your creativity, your ingenuity, your inventiveness, and you created all that there is. So we thank you for that, and that you placed within each of us a measure of that same inventiveness and creativity that you allow us the opportunity to use and explore. Lord, that you would help us to use those to honor you and to serve others in the ways that would be pleasing to you. Just as the Good Samaritan in the Bible helped someone who was in need, Father, may we also have opportunity to be that hand extended and share your love with someone in their time of need. So bless our time together, we would pray. Holy Spirit, guide us into truth and to new aspects, and may we serve you with all that we are and with all that you have blessed us with in the marketplaces where you have us. We ask these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
We have already welcomed you, which is great. So I think if you can see that, can you just give me a little acknowledgement? You can see our welcome page. Excellent. That's terrific. Our vision statement basically is to become more effective in honoring Jesus Christ wherever God has us in the marketplaces of life. This is a brief overview of what we want to cover off today. We have an interview. Stephen, I'm glad you're with us here tonight. Stephen is a good friend. I'll do a bit more on the introduction in just a moment. And then we have some information that's going to be shared with us by Jordan Pomrenke. And then Randy, it's good to have you here with us, the Christian Business Ministries Canada. Randy's the national director, and he's going to be sharing just a little bit about what that great organization has and does. Then we're going to spend some time with each other in smaller groups, and we'll have opportunity to get around in a small table setting, if you will, if you could envision, we're all around a table and just sharing some thoughts on a couple of questions that are prepared, and we'll introduce that as we get into that segment of the program. Then we'll wrap up, and we do have a little bit of an assignment for you to help you grow, and I think you'll find that to be interesting. So that's what we want to cover off over the course of today. We are exploring ideas and new opportunities. This is what we want to do. And let me just give you a little bit to kind of set the tone of where we're headed over the course of tonight. And hopefully this will be of some benefit to you. Whether you're at the starting point of something brand new, or maybe you're looking to enhance what you've already got on the go, and it could be a business, it could be a ministry area, or it might be some sort of a special project that you feel the Lord has laid on your heart. Regardless of what stage you're at, it really is important to have a good understanding of who it is that you are there to serve and what it is that they would find adds value to them. So these are some of the concepts that are very important at the early stages of exploring an idea or a new opportunity. There was an instructor and former colleague of mine at a post-secondary here in Edmonton. And he had spent a lot of time in the United States and in academic circles and in teaching entrepreneurship as well. One of the things that he was fond of saying is, ideas are a dime a dozen. And I know in Canada, we've gone to the metric system, so doesn't quite fit in there. I'm not sure what it would be. But whether or not an idea moves forward, it's critical to determine that there is, in fact, a valid opportunity attached to that idea. And this is the thing. An opportunity is where a product or a service, or in some cases, a process or a program, where it comes out of the idea that you've got, that it's felt to be something that is going to be worth the audience that you have in mind spending their time, energy, and resources on participating in or acquiring whatever it is that comes out of that idea process. Now, that's a lot, so I apologize for that. But beyond that, for an opportunity to be successful in the long term, that idea or opportunity for the product, the service, the process, the program, it really has to be sustainable. So it really needs to resonate with whoever your audience is, your customer or the members that you're trying to serve. So we'll have some more on that segment of our program at the end of our program. So please stay with us, okay? We want to be a part of that. So as I mentioned in the chat feature, I encourage you to indicate who you are if you'd like people to get in touch with you. But here's something else. Add a tip or a suggestion into the chat feature that might be helpful to any of us in testing the idea that we have in mind or in our hearts. What tip or suggestion would you have that would maybe help us get a better idea as to how to test the probability of success for the idea that we have in mind? Okay, so you can write that in the chat feature, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. We'll be able to collect it and share it with others. In fact, all of us can save the chat at the end of the meeting. So with that being said, I have the great pleasure of introducing our first of two presenters on tonight's program. Stephen has been a good friend for a number of years. We've connected in Edmonton, and then sadly for me, he and his family moved to Calgary, Alberta. But Stephen is a wonderful brother in the Lord. We've connected a couple of times, even recently after Stephen's been in Calgary. We've connected a few times here in Edmonton, which is great. They have had a great opportunity, as you've read the introductory material on registering. Stephen is an entrepreneur. He's established two businesses here in Alberta, but serving a broader audience than that. And he's also set up a not-for-profit, a charity. So that's an exciting thing that he's putting his hand to and his heart into serving others in some very interesting ways. So I'm going to stop our screen share right now so we can get over to Stephen and have a conversation. And I'd really like all of us to, again, just imagine we're sitting around a table here, and Stephen and I are just going to have a little conversation and let you eavesdrop on the conversation that we're having. So, Stephen, good to have you with us. Are you still with us or did we lose you?
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me over, Jim. I'm here.
Excellent. Good. Well, again, it's been a delight to get to know you and Miriam, your wife. And I know you've got the boys in college and stuff all over the place, all over North America. But let's get started. And why don't you just take a moment and share a little bit about who you are, where you've been, and maybe coming to Canada, because this was not where you were born.
All right. Did you say we have 3 hours? Yeah. So I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, um, and got into business at a very early age. And the reason that I got into business in Zimbabwe, I was trying to raise money for university. I'd been accepted into medical school in South Africa, and I was trying to raise money. That didn't go well. But as you know, the pain was so much. I said my siblings should not go through what I've gone through. So I shifted my focus on my siblings, and used the business to sponsor them to colleges in the US. And every single one of my siblings left and went to the US, and I was left in Zimbabwe. Then in 2000 November, because of things that were happening in our country, political turmoil, and I'd been married for about 9 months. My wife and I sat together and said, "There's no way we can raise a family here." So we decided to move to Dallas. So moved to Dallas in November 2000 and lived there. Went to college there, started working. I did radiological sciences. Lived there for 9 years, and then God pushed us out. He literally, yeah. He opened our eyes to a business opportunity in Canada, and we left Canada, the US in March of 2009, arrived 25 March 2009 in Edmonton. Everybody was saying it was warming up. I'm like, this is the North Pole. It was freezing. And yeah, that's pretty much my 51-year history in 50 seconds.
Yeah. You gave me a tour of your facility in Edmonton not that long ago, and I was very impressed with what you're involved in. Now, and you've got another facility in Calgary. Uh, was there a vision that you had, Stephen, for what you wanted to do? This is a journey and it's been developing over time, but can you talk to maybe the vision that you had for what is now in place?
Right. So, to be honest, I had no vision for business. This was born out of a need to solve a problem. So I was working in a hospital in Dallas, Methodist Health System, and I was working in the diagnostic imaging department. And I used to see a number of seniors coming into the emergency department. And I had a question: how come these people are here? They really don't need to be in the emergency department. And I dug in more to look into what was going on, investigated, and what I found out shocked me. So we all know diagnostic imaging is run by private clinics here in Canada and the US. So, Jim, if you and I need a chest x ray, for instance, we can walk into a clinic and it doesn't take more than 5 minutes to get one. But if somebody comes in on a wheelchair or stretcher, it takes 30 minutes to an hour. So, the private guys, obviously, they are money driven. They would say, should we take care of this one person at the expense of 6 to 12 other people? So, they end up just shifting them to the emergency department. And that's when I said, we've got to have a solution to this. So how it came, I don't know. That's a long-winded answer to what vision I had. The vision I had was for a solution.
Yeah. So maybe to pick up on that, were there some early steps, early challenges that maybe you came across that came along your way? Can you talk about that early stage development and growth of what you got into?
Right. So I was fortunate enough that I got into the diagnostic imaging industry just when they were making a transition to digital. When I started, they were using film, silver nitrate and all. Then they started digital. So the likes of Konica, Canon, Agfa. So when I saw these people coming in, I was looking at the X-ray tube, and it looked small. What was big was the ancillaries, things around it. And I said, surely we can shrink this X-ray tube and we can interface with the digital that's coming in. That was the first challenge, and those are the steps that I started researching into people that were in that space. So as challenging as it was exciting. But the greatest challenge was, so with that idea, right, I said, let me move to Canada. The greatest challenge was selling the idea to the government and to the College of Physicians, here in this province here. That was the biggest challenge. But it was exciting, let me put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the excitement was raising the capital that was necessary for doing what your vision entailed. This is not an inexpensive step.
I don't want to lie and tell you that was exciting. It was frustrating. And it pushed my wife and I to the knees. And we say, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, God owns it all, the silver, the gold, and the cattle on 1,000 hills. So what I'd done is I reached out to to a number of digital X-ray manufacturers, and Konica was the one that was responsive. And I reached out to X-ray manufacturers. There was a company out of Spain. They were excited about it. I reached out to the software developers in the US. They were ecstatic. And then they said, show us the money. That was a mammoth of a task. And I remember my wife and I and our two boys, they were 5 and 6 then, or 6 and 7 then. We prayed. And I prayed what seemed like funny to them then, but they looked back and say, wow. So I said this prayer, I said, God, you own a cattle on 1,000 hills. Right now, I don't need the cattle. Can you sell some of them and give me the money?
Okay.
And to cut the long story short, God raised a company out of Edmonton, shared my vision with them, and they gave me the equipment, $250,000 worth of equipment, two of them, which is $500,000. And I thought they wanted me to pay them back. When we had raised the money, called the gentleman, hey, John, we're ready to pay you back. And he says, who told you we needed that money back? And that was God's provision right there.
Mm-hmm. That's an awesome story. I wanted you to share that, and thank you so much for doing that, Stephen. The Lord answered your prayer. He honored your faith and the commitment that you had to serve him and to help other people along the way. And these resources were needed to do that, to fulfill the vision that you had.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe what we could do is bring us up to speed now. Here we are today. What are some of the results that you've been able to see? Can you maybe kind of summarize, with all the different things that you've got going in a very short time, what's happened?
Right. So this took off like wildfire. We were the first mobile X-ray company in Western Canada here, and we are saving the system millions of dollars a year. So, we were patient focused, really. So what we are seeing is the benefits to the senior community. And what this business has done, it has also generated income enough for us to be able to share with others. For instance, during the pandemic, we were building or buying furniture that enabled seniors in facilities to be able to dine while observing the pandemic protocols. We were able to support restaurants would so that they could stay afloat. We were able to there's a number of things that we were able to do financially, and in that process a lot of things were stirred up in Miriam and my heart to help people. What we learned in that process, the results, what we learned mainly is that money is not the problem. Money is not the problem for anybody who wants to get into business. It's the knowledge, it's the power from God for us. I mean, I'll boldly declare that it's the knowledge and power from God. Mm-hmm. So as a result, we were led to start a non-profit organization so that we can sponsor. So right now we have students that we are sponsoring in the UK, in Poland, and 2 will be coming here in Canada, because we are saying that they need to be equipped with knowledge and power to be able to realize the purposes that God has for them.
Well, Stephen, that's just an awesome journey that you've been on, and you were right. If we had 3 hours, I'm sure you could fill that 3 hours just telling us of some of the amazing things that you have experienced on your journey. But just to wrap up, is there one last thing you might say with regard to your vision for being a follower of Jesus Christ in the marketplace?
Well, that's an interesting question there, Jim. There is a lot that God has for us. So, just to give you an idea, 10% of the population in our province go to church. 90% are not going to church. So, where are they going to get the exposure to the gospel? They're going to get the exposure through what you're doing, Jim, the marketplace. And how do we reach them? This is where, that burden led us to, we say we're going to start it. So actually, I'm leaving to go to Rwanda on October 10th. What I'm going to be doing there is to try what has been born in our hearts. That is to teach people on the ground how to be entrepreneurs in the kingdom using biblical principles, and how to be self-sustaining, so that we all know, when we hear of Africa, we think of people that just need to be given, people that are always begging. And sometimes the Western world is guilty for enabling that kind of persona. So we want to change that. So we are starting in Rwanda. We are going to be training children from the age of from grade 7 going up, how to be entrepreneurs, because everything that we need is in the word. Scripture says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. How are they lacking the knowledge? Because somebody is not taking the step to disseminate that knowledge and show them. And when you go to Africa, sometimes they think, oh, success in business only happens in North America. But I'm a testimony, and I will show them I didn't have a rich uncle when I started. And Jim, I didn't know you then, so I couldn't borrow money from you. And so I just want to encourage people and say, you get in the word, apply the word, and it will take you where God wants you to be.
Amen. Well, Stephen, thank you once again for being with us tonight, and God bless you as you continue to do what the Lord has put you on a path to do for you, Miriam, your family, and all those that you have in your circle of contacts. Thank you for tonight.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Jim.
Okay, we're going to switch gears here now. Next up, we have Jordan Pomrenke. I met Jordan just very, very recently, but it's been a delight to connect with him. Again, his background is in the registration information, so you know a little bit about him. But he has taught some entrepreneurial courses at Medicine Hat College here in the province of Alberta. And I was delighted to have him share this, and we're going to share it with you right now.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. I know that even though I can't be with you live, I'm glad that I'm able to be with you guys virtually. And I'd like to, first of all, thank Jim for, I only met Jim a month or two ago, and we connected right away and invited me into the ministry network and everything like that that's happening. And so I'm just really appreciative of Jim and him giving me the opportunity to share with you guys. Just a quick intro on me before I get started. My name's Jordan Pomrenke, and quick version. I graduated in 2019 from Medicine Hat College with a BBA. Shortly after that, I started my own business doing eavesdrop cleaning, window washing, Christmas light installation. And then I also was doing a lot of contract work with the college, specifically around designing courses. And so I actually designed a couple courses around helping people start their own businesses. And I've taught that the last two springs. So that's a little bit on me. And I'd also like to just warn you guys, I'm getting over a bit of a cold, and so I still have a cough. So hopefully it's not too loud in your earbuds or anything if I have to clear my throat or cough a couple times through this. So, well, as we get started, Jim gave me the topic of exploring ideas and new opportunities. And there's lots of different directions you can go with a topic like this, but I chose 3 things that I wanted to focus on for this segment. And here's just a quick overview. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is that successful businesses sell solutions. Next, I'll talk a little bit about the entrepreneurial mindset, and then I'll wrap things up with the business model canvas. So successful businesses sell solutions. One of the first things that I always have people do when they come to me with an idea or something that they want to start up, oftentimes it's coming from the aspect of them trying to sell a product or a service. And I always challenge them and I say, businesses don't sell products or services, they sell solutions to problems. And I want to unpack that a little bit. How many times have you been in a store, walking down an aisle, and you see something cool on the shelf? You might look at it. If you're with someone, you might point it out, and then you just continue walking. Why didn't you buy that if it caught your eye? It was just a product or it was just a service to you at that time. It didn't solve anything for you. It didn't do anything for you. And so that's why you passed it by. On the other hand, if you're at home, and let's take toilet paper, for instance. If you're out of toilet paper, it seems like one of the first things that people do the moment they realize it is an emergency, they're jumping in their car, they're driving to the nearest store, gas station, or wherever sells toilet paper and stocking back up. Why? Because that solves a big problem for people. And that's the two dynamics that we want to look at here. One, we have someone who's literally right in front of a product or service and they pass it by, versus someone who's completely inconvenienced, but because it solves a real problem for them, they go out of their way to purchase that. When you're looking to start a new business, come with a new idea, you want to make sure that you're solving a problem. That's where you create value as an entrepreneur, as a business. The next point on here is that when you're looking to solve a problem, it's really important to understand that problem as deep as you can. And I'm not going to go too deep into it because the next lesson is going to be on engaging with your target audience. So I don't want to go too deep into that. But it's really important to engage with your target audience and take the time to really listen and understand and hear them, what they're talking about, whatever said problem they're dealing with, so that you as an entrepreneur can then bring an appropriate solution. You don't want to just take what you think is the right thing and kind of shove it on them. You want to take the time, listen to it, engage with them, and then they're going to be much more likely to buy that solution because it solves a real problem for them. And then the last part in this section I want to talk about is that the size of the problem you're solving matters, or it's at least important to be aware of. And I like talking about it kind of on a spectrum where over on one side, we have what we might call a mosquito bite. A mosquito bite, it's annoying, it's unpleasant, but in the end, it's not that big a deal. We might slap at it, we might brush it off, and we continue with our day. Moving a little bit further up the spectrum, let's say we might have a snake bite. Maybe we're not sure if it's a dangerous snake, maybe it's just bit us, take it off, maybe need a bandage, maybe need to go to the hospital just to check. So it's definitely a bigger problem for us. And then all the way on the other side of the spectrum is a shark bite, where if you're bit by a shark, that's an emergency situation. You're being rushed to see medical care, and there's a chance that your life is at risk in that situation. And so when you look at the problem that you're solving on this spectrum, the bigger the problem, the more demand for a solution and the more willing people are going to be to pay for that solution. And so the last thing under this point that I want to reference is that sometimes there's a difference for your audience or for your clients. There's a difference between what the real problem is and the perceived problem. And so sometimes as an entrepreneur, you have to be able to pick up on that distinction and understand when you're engaging with your audience, maybe how you have to communicate a little bit differently to make sure that it connects with them. The next point I want to talk about is the importance of having an entrepreneurial mindset. Now, there's some other names for this, or maybe some other very similar concepts, such as design thinking or growth mindset. And really what it's getting at when it's talking about these things is the importance of the mindset that you go into starting a business, or it can expand all the way to work, life, and everything like that. And so when you're able to approach problems, approach starting a business with this mindset, it's going to set you up for success. What are some of the common mindsets or common skills that are seen in entrepreneurial mindset? Some of the top ones are they're continuously learning. They never say that, oh, I'm the expert, I know everything, I know I'm going to be the one telling you what you need. No, they're the ones continually learning, taking in new information. They're the ones who are able to solve problems quickly. They're able to quickly diagnose what's wrong, come up with a viable solution. They're resilient when they're faced with hurdles or barriers, or just something doesn't go right. They're able to push through. They fail forward. This is a concept where a mistake isn't necessarily something that's terrible, or, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But a mistake is a learning opportunity. And if instead of falling backwards and failing, if you're able to fail forward and learn and grow from that, that's going to help you so much as an entrepreneur. And then the last is self-awareness. It's critical to be able to understand what your own strengths and weaknesses are, know where maybe you need to hire a team member, outsource your strengths, things like that. And you're less likely to have blind spots the more self-aware you are. And so engaging with these mindsets is critical and extremely valuable. And I might even argue that it is the ultimate sustainable competitive advantage. And so that's a really businessy term, but that's what every business is striving for: some sort of sustainable competitive advantage, give them an advantage over their competitors and things like that. Having this mindset, no matter what comes up in your industry, no matter what comes up in society, in the market, no matter what market changes are happening, if you have this entrepreneurial mindset, you're going to take whatever life throws at you and be able to come out on top. And then one thing I wanted to add in this section is that I feel that being a Christian already puts you ahead because of some of the things that come with being a Christian. Some things that come to mind are one, the compassion and care that you have for others. Right away, your customers are automatically going to feel more valued. They're going to feel listened to and understood than perhaps some other businesses that are just after their money. They're going to feel like you're a real business looking after a real person. I feel that you're able to connect on a deeper level, right? We understand that we have a body that has a soul, and we have a spirit. And being able to connect on those deeper levels is going to be huge. Also, the integrity that Christians operate in, and the way we're able to hold on to our convictions and press forward, that ties some into the resiliency I was talking about earlier. And then just overall, we have that responsibility of representing Christ well, and everything we do, we want to honor him. And so we're going to conduct our business in an honest way, in a righteous way. And when you do business like that, that's what's going to set you apart, because people are going to be able to trust you and rely on you. And then the third point I want to talk about is something that's called the business model canvas. And so if you've never heard of that before, essentially what it is it's a one-page business plan. What's great about this is that one of the struggles with if you're starting a new business is if you're going to have to try to write a 30, 40, 50, 100-page business plan. And you're not necessarily able to get feedback, and you have to invest all this time and energy into it. And then if you get to the end of that and you find out you have a bad idea, well, you just wasted all that time. What's beautiful about this business model canvas, you're able to quickly get your idea down on paper. You're able to share it with others, communicate with others, and get that feedback that's critical, like I was talking about earlier, from your target audience, but also from business mentors, those who you can glean from, and different things like that. And this model allows you to be able to iterate and pivot and really refine your business model until it's something that's going to be really, really strong and successful. And then once you nail this down, then if you find you do need to write out a full business plan, well, you already know that you have a good idea to start with. And so as I'm wrapping up, I have sent some resources to Jim. So you'll have a template for the business model canvas. There'll be a video that will explain and unpack the business model canvas a little bit more. And then I think there's a video about design thinking, which would kind of fit under the entrepreneurial mindset. So if you're interested in any things I talked about and want to learn more, make sure you check out those resources. And so in conclusion, we talked about the importance of not just selling a product or a service, but selling a real solution to a problem. And that's what's going to be able to create value for your clients and keep them coming back to you. We talked about the importance of having an entrepreneurial mindset and how that's going to develop resiliency, the ability to fall forward, the ability to problem solve, and all these things are going to be critical in your business development journey. And then lastly, we talked about the business model canvas and how it's a really great tool for you to get sometimes it's hard to get your idea out of your head, but get it down on paper and to be able to begin communicating it and getting that feedback that you need to be able to create a solid business plan before you start investing more time and money into it. So thank you so much for your time. Again, Jim, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And if anyone would like to connect with me further, I'm in the Marketplace Ministries Network. You can connect with me through Facebook on there. So again, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I hope that you have a great rest of the evening. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jordan. It was great to have that information that you can pass along to us. And while you're not here with us in the live session, we appreciate that you recorded that for us and we were able to share it. We'll be putting that out to our audience in due course. And again, I might just mention the resources that Jordan has mentioned. I have also put a couple of pieces of information together, and those will be going out as follow-up. Now, we have been just so blessed to have a number of great partners working with us here, collaborators in this ecosystem that we're all a part of, and we are really looking forward to introducing you to more of them in our upcoming events. Tonight, I'm pleased to introduce to you Randy Wolgemuth, who is the National Director for CBMC, the Christian Business Ministries Canada. That's been a great resource that I've tapped into over several years now, and I would encourage you to check out what they have available. Randy, why don't I turn it over to you, and if you'd share just a few minutes about CBMC. Randy.
Thank you, Jim, and I'm honored to be here and spend a few minutes just talking about CBMC. And one of the new things coming out of CBMC is we've changed not our acronym, but we've changed the name. And actually, it's being done all over the world. CBMC is in approximately 100 countries, started about 90 years ago. So there's a long history there. But so the new acronym meaning is Connecting Business and Marketplace to Christ. So once it all becomes official, Jim will let you know. But it's Connecting Business and the Marketplace to Christ, which we think is very important. And like the speakers were saying here before already about the marketplace is, I think, is the mission field right now and even more so for the future. So some of the things that we're doing at CBMC, we're kind of in a rebuild mode. The glory years, so to speak, were in the 60s and 70s, and even some of the part of the 80s, and it kind of dwindled to a much smaller organization. But the core is there, and we're excited about what the future will bring. And let's talk about a couple of key things that we're doing. The first one, the groups. There's been groups meeting in person for many, many years, actually for decades. That is still going on. Many of them switched to Zoom during COVID, and some are now still doing Zoom or do a combination thereof. So that's working reasonably well. There's a program called Abide, which I've been facilitating on Zoom and some others as well. That's a program, I don't really call it a program, but anyway, it's material coming out of came out of church renewal and have adapted to marketplace. And it helps you have a deeper relationship with Jesus, which in turn hopefully will also encourage you more to reach out to non-believers, especially for those of us that are in the marketplace. And then the third one I want to mention is I call it the Goal Growth Mastermind Leaders of Tomorrow. On the secular side, I'm a John Maxwell certified coach, and I do coaching and mentoring. This one is very much the same material, John Maxwell material. And those of you who know John Maxwell is a very devout Christian, and his material is excellent. They use that material, and the target market is, and I say young business people. They don't have to be young, but they are generally very new in business or relatively new in business. And so I facilitate groups anywhere from 3 to 7 business people, and we meet every week for 15 weeks. Then we meet every other week for 9 weeks or for 9 months. So it's a 1-year commitment. And right now there's 3 graduated, 7 more, or 4 more will graduate here in fall. And I'm starting a new group next month. So I'll tell you, for an older guy like me, it's a lot of fun having young, enthusiastic business people. I joke sometimes they don't know how hard it's going to be, so it's actually kind of fun. They just give her. So anyway, it's a real treat doing that. And then the last one I just want to mention, I seen someone was talking about getting resources or maybe even getting money for new businesses. We have a pilot project going on in Ottawa. I don't know if it'll go through, but he's an immigrant from Syria, and he's looking at buying a pizza store. He's a Muslim, now very devout Christian. It's a tough road for these people. They don't have to be immigrants, but any new small business, the banks aren't really very kind as far as loaning money goes. So we're doing a pilot project to see if we can find funding for some of these new businesses that maybe don't need a ton of money, but the banks will not give them any money at all. So that's a pilot project. I'm really excited about it. And I also noticed in the chat there's some new businesses starting in overseas through BAM. I think it's awesome. So anyway, that's really what I wanted to cover. Check out cbmc.ca if you have time. And if anyone has any interest in anything that we're doing, we're definitely looking for people to connect with right across Canada and make it a truly national organization helping business people.
Well, Randy, thank you very much for giving us that insight and update on what's happening with CBMC. We'll look forward to that with great interest. We're going to go into our breakout groups. Gordon and I talked about that. We're going to put you into some smaller groups here just at random. We've got 3 main questions that we'd like you to spend a little bit of time. But before you get into the questions, very, very quickly, just go around the group in your breakout room. Introduce yourself, maybe where you're located and what you're involved in or what you want to get involved in, but keep that very, very short. We'd love for you to have opportunity to touch on these 3 questions that you have in the screen. Gord, if we're ready to do that, let's break into the breakout rooms and let's have some good activity with that in your breakout group. Thank you. See you soon. And we had some good conversations in the breakout groups, which is terrific. All right, well, let's carry on then. Thank you, everyone, for your participation in those things. First off, I want to thank our presenters. Stephen, thank you very much for sharing on the journey that you have been a part of, that God has had you on. It's an awesome experience that you have had on this path that the Lord has been leading you on. Jordan, even though you're not with us in person, thank you for sharing your insights with respect to being an entrepreneur. And I would say that beyond business, a lot of the concepts that Jordan talked about are equally applicable to a ministry area or perhaps some sort of a special project that you may be wanting to move forward. And so I know that Jordan had that in the back of his mind as he was presenting business-related concepts. And Randy, thank you very much for sharing on CBMC and the journey that is yet ahead for that great organization. Ladies and gentlemen, I would encourage you to tap into some of those resources. Monday Manna, I have mentioned that one before, and I will continue to mention it. I think it's a great, very inspiring, and it also has some good questions for you to consider or even use in a group if you choose to do that. So I'm sure there'll be more. We have many, many people that we want to thank with regard to what we're doing. The King's University and Gord, thank you very much for helping us with our video link through Zoom and recording and all that good stuff. CBMC, Randy, I've mentioned you already. CCBF, Canadian Christian Business Federation, has been helpful in sharing information. Terry and Don McGee with the Shepherd's Guide in Canada, thank you for that. James Bruin with Faith at Work Network, appreciate your help. More recently, we've been delighted to have connection with Eston College in Saskatchewan, and they've been sharing with their alumni as well as with their students. A church denomination, Apostolic Church of Pentecost of Canada, shared information with their membership across Canada. I have never really mentioned this one before, but they've been great supporters. Touch Canada Broadcasting with the radio stations here in the province of Alberta. They have very consistently posted on their community events boards our events, and I do appreciate that. Thank you very much for Christian Radio. And of course, for all of you, thank you for spending some of your time, whether that's afternoon or evening, with us here in the live event. We do appreciate that. If I can maybe just share a couple of things with you, I'm going to try to do this seamlessly, as I often am noted for doing. But for purposes of overview, we have started our season with exploring ideas and new opportunities. We have 4 other upcoming events and speakers lined up for many of them. And I would encourage you to mark the dates for these on the calendar. We'll be sending that information out. It's on our Facebook group, and we try to communicate it quite regularly. So meeting number 2 is November the 2nd, if you want to circle that on your calendar. Here's 2 of the speakers that we have on the program. Richie is an awesome individual that I've just connected with recently. Richie has years of experience on the mission field. He's been in South America, in the jungles of the Amazon for many, many years, helping with electrical, photovoltaic systems there, water delivery systems, medical related things, working in ghettos. He's done amazing things in taking the gospel in very practical ways to people who are in need. Kevin Herrera is a young fellow that I've known for many years, him and his family. Kevin is involved in marketing. He's got his own business that he's been running off and on, but he's got tremendous expertise when it comes to marketing. And I asked him if he would share some information on our next program. He said yes, which is great. If you're not on it, if you're on Facebook in the broadest sense, check out our online Facebook private members group, Marketplace Ministries Network Facebook group. It's free to join. And again, you can share conversations with members. We now have over 150 members in that particular group. And I encourage you, add a post, add a comment, and get to know some of the members that are a part of that group. Closing thoughts. God has us where we are for his purposes. I love saying that because I believe it is true. Wherever God has you, you are there for a reason. And you are there as salt and light to represent the Lord in that environment. The question is, how will we best fulfill that purpose and bring honor to Jesus Christ? I think we talked a little bit about that in the breakout groups. Here's an image, a visual image that, again, you probably know the verses in the Bible that talk about how the Lord is like that potter that shapes us as vessels for his use, for his glory. I also believe that when you're in a leadership role, you have opportunity to also shape the direction and the tone of the organization that you are in. Even if you're not in an ownership position or a key leader, as an individual within an organization, you add value and you have influence with the people that are around you. Just as closing thoughts, and maybe as a little bit of a thing to think about prior to our next get together, November the 2nd, think about a vision statement for whatever it is that you are in or what you feel the Lord is leading you into. Is there something that you could do to document a little bit about what that vision is? And I'm going to be working with a group of college students tomorrow, actually, in a bit of a session and do a bit of a hands-on exercise. And that's going to be fun. Keep me in your prayers, would you? But here's a terrific verse. And I remember Terry McGee with Shepherd's Guide, you actually used this in a session you did about a year ago, Habakkuk 2:2. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tablets, that he that runneth can readeth it and understand what it is that is being said in the vision. So with a vision statement for whatever it is that you're looking at doing, I would encourage you, put a few notes together and try to develop your own vision statement for whatever it is that the Lord has laid on your heart, okay? Maybe even post that in the Facebook group and get some feedback on what it is. You may not want to give all the confidential details at this point, but there's probably something that you can share and get some input from the group as a whole. So I want to thank you for your time. God bless you in the place that He has you. We really do believe that collaborating with others is a key to success. There's more to be gained by working together than any one of us can achieve by working on our own. That's why I love the partners that we have connected with. Many of you are in this session here right now, and there are others that have been working with us to help us connect with others and share this, that we might grow together. And we love helping our audience find out who you are so that they can explore connecting with you on an ongoing basis. So with that being said, again, thank you. And until we meet again, may the Lord keep you safe, secure, and may you represent Jesus Christ well in the places of the marketplace where He has you. God bless you. Thanks for being with us. We trust you found this to be helpful. And if so, please give us a like, a follow, and a share. The Bible says in Matthew, "Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." If you're launching or growing a business, a ministry area, or a special project, or if you're involved in helping them as a resource or service provider, we'd love to have you participate with us. Stay informed of upcoming events and items of interest by subscribing to the Marketplace Ministries Update, sent out periodically. May God bless you as you do your best to faithfully represent Jesus Christ in the marketplaces of life.